Long ago, in the sprawling kingdom of Arandia, a land blessed with fertile valleys, mighty rivers, and towering mountains, there lived a warrior named Alexander. He was renowned far and wide for his unmatched strength and battle prowess. His swordsmanship was legendary, his strategic mind sharp, and his courage in the face of danger unwavering. However, his tongue was as sharp as his blade, and his words often cut deeper than any weapon. Alexander was the captain of the royal guard, entrusted with training the kingdom's soldiers. He was dedicated to his duty, ensuring that every warrior under his command was prepared to defend the kingdom against any threat. His methods were rigorous, his standards impossibly high. Though his training turned recruits into formidable fighters, his harsh demeanor often left them resentful. "Hold your shields higher. Do you think the enemy will spare you because of your excuses?" he would shout during drills. "Your footwork is sloppy. How do you expect to survive on the battlefield?" The soldiers obeyed, but their morale was low. They feared Alexander more than they admired him. He demanded perfection but offered little encouragement. One fateful day, the peace of Arandia was shattered. A neighboring empire, envious of the kingdom's wealth and resources, declared war. Their armies, vast and well-equipped, began marching toward Arandia's borders. The king, an aging ruler with a deep love for his people, summoned Alexander to the royal hall. "Alexander," the king said, his voice grave, "our kingdom faces a grave threat. You are the strongest warrior in Arandia, and I trust you to lead our army to victory. Protect our land, our people, and our future." Alexander bowed deeply. "I will not fail you, my king," he vowed. The next morning, Alexander gathered his troops. The army was a mix of seasoned soldiers and inexperienced recruits, all looking to him for leadership. As he addressed them, his voice was firm and commanding. "We are Arandians," he declared. "We do not cower in fear, and we do not falter in the face of danger. Raise your weapons and prepare for battle." The soldiers cheered, but their enthusiasm was fleeting. As the days of training wore on, Alexander's harshness took its toll. He pushed them relentlessly, barking orders and criticizing every mistake. "Do you think the enemy will pity your weakness?" he sneered at a young recruit who stumbled during sword practice. That night, as the soldiers rested around the campfires, their conversations were filled with doubt. "How can we fight for a leader who thinks so little of us?" one soldier murmured. "Alexander may be strong," another replied, "but his words crush our spirit." Unbeknownst to them, an elderly woman named Leora, a healer and wise advisor to the king, had been observing Alexander's training sessions. Leora had seen many battles in her lifetime and understood that a warrior's strength was not only in their sword arm but also in their heart. The next evening, as Alexander reviewed his battle plans alone in his tent, Leora entered. She carried a small lamp that illuminated her kind yet piercing eyes. "Captain," she began, "you are a remarkable warrior. Your strength and skill are unmatched. But a true leader must inspire, not intimidate." Alexander frowned. "My duty is to prepare these men for war, not to coddle them. Kindness won't save them on the battlefield." Leora placed the lamp on the table and looked directly at him. "Strength alone is not enough. Your soldiers will follow your commands out of fear, but they will not fight with the passion needed to win. You must strengthen their hearts as well as their bodies. Be strong, Alexander, but not rude." Her words struck a chord deep within him. Alexander remained silent as Leora left the tent, her lamp casting shadows that danced like unspoken truths. That night, Alexander lay awake, reflecting on her advice. He realized that while he had trained his soldiers to be physically strong, he had failed to instill in them the confidence and unity that made an army truly invincible. The next morning, Alexander gathered his troops before dawn. His voice, though still commanding, carried a different tone. "I have been hard on you," he began. "Perhaps too hard. I see now that my words have not lifted you up, but have weighed you down. For that, I apologize. But make no mistake, each of you is stronger than you realize. You are the shield of Arandia, the hope of our people. Together, we will face the enemy and emerge victorious." The soldiers, startled by his humility, felt a renewed sense of purpose. They began to see Alexander not just as a strict commander, but as a leader who believed in their potential. The day of the battle arrived. The enemy's army stretched across the horizon, a sea of steel and banners. The air was thick with tension, but Alexander stood tall, his presence a pillar of strength. "Remember your training," he called out as they marched onto the battlefield. "Fight not just for your king, but for your families, your homes, and each other." The battle was fierce, the clash of swords and cries of warriors filling the air. Alexander fought at the forefront, his blade a blur of motion. But more importantly, he encouraged his soldiers throughout the chaos. "Stand firm," he shouted to a wavering line. "You are stronger than them," he roared to a group surrounded by enemies. His words, once sharp and scathing, were now a source of strength. The soldiers fought with a courage they hadn't known they possessed. They trusted Alexander, not just as a commander, but as a leader who stood with them. By the end of the day, the enemy was in full retreat. The fields of Arandia were scarred but defended, and the kingdom was safe. When the army returned to the capital, they were met with cheers and celebrations. The king himself embraced Alexander. "You have not only saved Arandia, but have shown us the true meaning of leadership," he said. Alexander, humbled by the experience, continued to lead the royal guard with a newfound balance of strength and kindness. His training sessions became renowned for their rigor, but also for the encouragement he offered. Soldiers under his command grew not only stronger, but also more confident and united. In time, Alexander's name became a legend, not just for his victories in battle, but for his transformation as a leader. His story was told for generations, a reminder that strength guided by kindness is the foundation of greatness. And so, the lesson of Alexander's journey echoed through the ages: be strong, but not rude. Strength builds armies, but kindness builds legacies.